Okay, my latest purchase. It's a Sany SY16C. As you can see, it's an open cab 1.8 ton mini digger. I'm going to take you through some of the bits and pieces on it. It's really interesting because the digger I've got wasn't what I was looking at originally. I was looking for either an imported Chinese digger, which this one is, I'll come to that in a moment, or a second-hand JCB, Bobcat, that type of digger. I'll talk through why I went with the Sany. So the Sany is Chinese. They're the Chinese equivalent of a JCB or Case. They're the fourth largest excavator manufacturer in the world, as I understand. So they're not a small company by any stretch. And if you've ever been to China and see the construction that's going on, they make a hell of a lot of these, that's for sure. My options were to get a smaller sort of 1 ton mini digger, bit over a micro digger, but watching all the reviews online versus what I've actually got, there's some really good differences. One, obviously 1.8 ton, you've got a hell of a lot more oomph. This is a decent sized digger, but it still has the tracks that and cab that's just under 1 meter wide when it's retracted in. So this is one of the features that I looked at and listened to people that have bought Chinese diggers or mini diggers or what have you, and it was the feedback that those guys had is they wish they got slightly wider tracks for stability. Pretty obvious when you think about it, but you want a mini digger with a sort of zero turn. As you can see, this doesn't hang over the back dramatically, or when you're turning as well, the cab doesn't clobber things behind you, so you can get through a side gate into back garden and do work like that. But I'm mainly needing one for just to do digging at my own pace rather than getting a huge great big one. So I got the wider tracks on this model, so it will retract in and goes out. So that gives you a little bit more stability. I'll put the dimensions in the link below so that you can have a look at that. The other thing being the size it is, it's obviously the power of this thing. The engine that's in this is a Yanmar engine, and it's the same size that they actually put in their 3 ton version. So it operates all the hydraulics and happily moves without sort of losing power, whereas if you get a smaller digger, you can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but the minute you start doing everything all at once, they really slow down. Now obviously, being Chinese versus say getting a JCB or Bobcat or something like that, the biggest thing that people worry about is the quality of the equipment. Well, that's true to a certain point, but Yanmar is a pretty decent engine manufacturer, independent, so the Yanmar engine goes into these machines. The rest of it is steel work and hydraulics, which frankly the Chinese can do just as well as anyone else. So it does end up being quite a nice little digger, and everything's accessible. If you look at how things are piped in, and how they're routed and how they're protected, as you can see, you've got a sort of boom guards on here, and the pipe work's all tucked away, and it's all nicely done, and it's really well put together. I mean, these are kind of industrial machines anyway. It's not like it's a life support system, so really it's well thought out. You get a few nice features on the inside, obviously all the safety mod cons, removable top cab. You can get the enclosed cabs on some of the small versions, but I didn't really need that, and also wanted one which you got a lower centre of gravity. I'm not using this 24/7, so I just went for the open cab model. But it's a very large cockpit in there for basically what most people would class as a mini digger. This is a decent size. I'm 6'4" and 200 plus pounds, and I fit in this fine, plenty of leg room. You've got hand operated pedals as hand operated directional controls. As you can see, you've got the joysticks there as well as the pedals, so depending on your style you can do that. If you're used to different controls for your digging operation, I think there's a setting that you can just flick the hydraulics and it will switch from one style to another. Got a few interesting quirks unique to sort of these models as far as I can tell. You've got a swivel lock, so that if you're in transportation mode, it will actually lock the turning of the cab, so for safety reasons more than anything else. One other thing that I did get for this, which isn't on these as standard but was well worth getting, is the thumb. So this I had on as an aftermarket edition. You can buy these yourself and put them on. So the dealership that I bought this from, which I'll reference in a bit, were fantastic, and they welded this on. As you can see, it looks factory. Meets up nicely with the buckets at the bottom, so I've got plenty of grab force there. It has got a retaining pin for transport, but I wouldn't normally use that because it's got enough force to bend it. And quick release on there, so if I wanted to run other attachments on the front, then I could do that. So the engine's got enough power to run quite a lot on the hydraulics. It's got what they call a manual quick hitch on the buckets, which is a bit of a misnomer really, but rather than sort of dropping it down and having a hydraulic release for one of the pins in the cab, you've actually got the safety pin that pops out, and then there's a little lever in there that releases one of the claws, and then you can just angle the bucket and slide another one on. That I think will take me a little bit of practice, but anyone who's spent more than a day or so on one of these will find that pretty straightforward to do. Machine wise, as you can see, profile, it's a narrow looking machine, but with the tracks out at full width, plenty of stability on there, nice low centre of gravity. To get it through gates, it's got the ends of the blades, typical on this size of excavator with most manufacturers. They just have these pivoting end pieces, so that gives you an idea. That's the width of the tracks when they're pulled all the way in. In terms of maintenance, basically grease everything every day you use it, and there are grease points everywhere. You can see the little purple grease coming out them. This one's just been serviced, it's had its 1,000-hour service, and you can see there's grease points everywhere. So typical with these things, grease it every day you use it, and then it will be last a long time anyway. They say grease is cheaper than metal, so I think that's sensible advice. Bits and pieces on here that are worth noting. Lock-up of fuel tank, it's about 20 litres, so that will probably run the thing pretty much all day if you're just pottering around on it. Service wise, on the other side you've got a hydraulic fuel level indicator, which should have a smidgen in there. It looks like a little bit low actually, so I'm going to top that up, but that's just in there, so it's visible from the outside. Shout out to Mark at MSN, who was fantastic at supplying this. They're the local Sany dealership near me, and I can't fault them actually. There's fantastic service, really nice bunch of guys. Right, I'm going to open up the back and show you a few bits and pieces that's inside the bay. Push. Here's one I prepared earlier. And it's as simple as that to open it up. Right, okay, so we've got a few basics in here, so I'll just talk you through them. Doesn't require servicing particularly often, which is great. So it's sort of 500,000 hour type of service on these. Obviously, if you keep it greased, you've got a grease gun keeping it down there. Fuel pump, you'll hear that going once it starts up. Fuel filter there, oil drain filter, so if the float gets above about there with any water in it, then you can just open the tap and drain it out. If you did ever run out of fuel, bleed valve there, bleed valve on the engine supply on the Yanmar engine, just in there, and then that'll get you going again. Expansion tank for the water fluids, top up there. Oil dipstick is in there, and that's pretty much all you need to get to inside the machine itself. A few other bits and pieces. So starting it, as the immobilizer control there, it'll store up to 10 different codes, so you can have them for different operators if needed, but you have to tap in that immobilizer code before it will actually fire up. So you put it in ignition, turn it to the accessory first point, tap in the code, press the OK, and it should get a blue light on there. Green light first, then blue light, I think it is, or red light in it anyway. Blue light on that one, and then you're good to go. And then you turn the ignition to the next position. You have to have the control system in the down position to operate. This is typical safety on most devices these days. You've also got the emergency stop conveniently located, and a lap belt. Oh yeah, if you do knock that with your knee, then it will switch everything off as well, so just watch when you're getting in and out. If it doesn't start, it's quite possibly that. Adjustable seat on there, cup holder, and a little thing for your phone, I would guess. Controls on the console are very, very typical. You've got obviously your stick controls. This one operates the thumb. This has two different operating modes. It'll either do your track or it does the blade, depending on what you've got on your switch. So you have basically a 2-button switch. So by default, it's on the blade. But you switch it the other way, it's track. Lights, horn, and tortoise and hare for obviously fast and slow. And you've got your throttle control. This has got enough power that you barely even need to have the throttle up and full to run it. Then you've got some nice little armrests, adjustable seat. As we've shown, plenty of height in the cab. There are speaker grills up there. The high spec models come with a stereo and things like that, and they've got lights on the front, so you could wire something in there if you wanted. And I think on this model as well, yes, you've got the amber emergency light, which just clips up off there. Removing the roll cage is just something really that you do for storage, so you've got a couple of bolts there. There's a few wires that run down onto this loom here. This is actually factory masking tape, but it seems to work okay. So there's a couple of bolts there, and then a few others underneath the rubber at the front, just down there in the corner. This lever that we've got here is actually the one for the quick release bucket at the front. I'll put that back down in a minute. And you've got your optional accessory pedals there that will do stuff. Right, buckets that come with it. Typically you've got a large grading bucket, diggy bucket, ditching bucket. I think that's the right way around. I've got removable teeth on that one as well, should I need them. So that's kind of about it in terms of a rundown. Really solidly built. This one's got about 1,000 hours on it. Plenty of life in it yet. If you buy a new one today, they come with 5-year, I think it's 5-year, 5,000 hour warranty, something nuts like that, and they do 0% on them as well on some of these. So it's really getting competitive. These guys are bringing good quality stuff to the UK, local dealer support. Yeah, you can't argue with a warranty that long. This model was out before the long warranty, but it's exactly the same machine that you would buy off the forecourt, with very, very minor differences to it, but nothing in the mechanical sense. So even if you're buying one like this that's got a few hours on it from the main dealer, you don't really have to worry so much. Yeah, if you're getting a brand new one which is marginally more than this, then you probably don't have to worry at all for the life of the machine, as long as you're using it for even for commercial work. These things are probably pretty bulletproof. Anyway, I will let you know how I get on with it.